take perspective on where you are, to choose gratitude about it, and to contribute meaningfully is a direct path to enjoyment, not just of the thing that you're participating in right now, the context you find yourself in right now, but is also a pattern of thinking, a skill, a behavior, a pattern of like self-authorship that transfers on and on and on and on till, I don't know, your children put you in a nursing home and you've got to get up every day and figure out, how would I like to handle today?
What separates teams that thrive under pressure from those that crumble when it matters the most? Welcome to the Captains and Coaches Podcast. We explore the art and science of leadership through the lens of athletics and beyond. I'm your host, Tex McQuilkin, and today we're going inward for the psychology of peak performance with Dr. Cara Miller, the developmental coach who specializes in self-authorship and formational leadership. Dr. Miller works with everyone from high-stakes corporate execs to elite athletes, teaching them how to author their own stories rather than be victims of circumstance. In this conversation, we'll unpack the culture killers that destroy team chemistry, entitlement, resentment, and the fear of trying, and explore how coaches can train not just behavior, but the thinking patterns that drive lasting transformation. Whether you're leading a team of young athletes, coaching, or simply seeking to understand how to develop unshakable self-control, this episode will challenge how you think about growth, leadership, and human potential. Now, let's hand it off to Dr. Miller to help us raise the game. Ready, and break.
Longtime friend. I got to thank Logan Delbert years back for introducing us, and so many adventures in between, so many conversations.
Yeah.
Challenges I faced that I think, what would Cara do? I think
Oh,
you need to make a bracelet.
never gonna happen, brother. Never gonna happen.
I mean, it's a big goal for this year. I think just a whole just line of
Merch.
clothing, merch, branded
Well,
inquiry.
let's see if what we talk about holds water first, and we can let the people lead. Power to the people. We'll
There we
let
go.
the people decide what they want, and then supply and demand. If there's demand, we will figure out something to supply. But if we need merch, I think you've already been in like some fantastic merch spaces. I mean, I look around my office and the stuff I have got, I mean, directly came out of your wheelhouse or Logan's. So
Well,
yeah.
just wait till the podcast sponsor Yeti sends you a little treat.
Fantastic.
It's
Yeti, right on.
Austin,
Wow.
Texas, born in Dripping Springs. So speaking of holding water, I've
Yes,
moved a plant into the podcast studio.
brother. Your lungs are thanking you. Your brain is thanking you because our dear friends, the plants, are working while we're working and they're working while we're not working. So, yeah, maybe I need a nursery sponsor, like a plant nursery sponsor.
I can line that up. I'm great at
Yeah.
networking. Um, well,
Yeah. Well, congratulations because being a plant parent is a skill. So, congratulations. I'm proud of
I'm,
you.
I'm learning that quickly. I will say one aside. I've
Yeah.
eat so much fruit, lemons, limes, mangoes, that I started just planting all these seeds. So I've got a whole system in my backyard right now.
What?
Yeah, I'll send you some photos after our podcast. But a mango, who would have known? So it's an interesting
Growing in Texas.
growing in Texas. And avocados. Luke knows very well. We made a bet years ago.
Wow. Oh my
So
gosh.
the uh,
Luke.
speaking of plants and growth, I want to talk
Yeah.
about a formational life. This is what we call a segue in the biz. So
Fantastic. Well done. That was very smooth. Thank you.
I'll hand it off to you here for a formational
Mhm.
life and self-authorship. Some beautiful work that you do.
Oh. Yeah, I'll start with self-authorship because that one's pretty straightforward. Um, the fundamental belief that you are the narrator of your thought life and of the actions that you take in your behavior in response to your thought life, that's self authorship. picking up the pen, however you want to use the metaphor. Constructive developmental psychology is what we would call it technically. And that is that you are actively always constructing a story about what you are experiencing. So you're constructive in that regard. You're the narrator. You're creating a narrative about what you're experiencing, and then developmental is the ability to accumulate experiences, accumulate ways of thinking that they compound over time. So they don't leave an old self behind you, which is kind of a popular way of thinking of things like dust off your old self and move into a new self. Um, Constructive developmental psychology would say, actually, you're including everything you've been. You're including all the ways of thinking that you had in order to move into an expanded or more expansive way of looking at your life and your thoughts and the story that you're telling about the experiences that you're having. And the more awake you are to the fact that you are constructing, you are narrating, you are self authoring the way that you see the world, the way that you act in the world, the way that you grow or change or transition or expand in the world, the more responsibility for that you take, the more awake and aware you are to that, the more choice you have. And most of us are looking for more choice, more option about how we move, who we're with, how we behave, what we achieve, and our general contentment about who we are and how worthy we are to be in the places that we live, that we work, that we play. And so that self-authorship belief is right at the center of that. And in order to live out that belief, it requires you to practice a life that is reforming all the time. So, a formational life is understanding that one way that you approach the world is it has been formed by what you've been through and how you've thought about it, how you've narrated it, how you've made sense of it in the past. And that if you'd like to expand and grow and offer yourself more options and more power and more self control, all the things that we really want as virtues, as people, as family members, as leaders, as athletes, we want more self control. And more self control and more choices about how we move and how we think require more self authorship, more formational work where we're forming and reforming to the point of transforming how we think about the experiences that we have and how we act in response to the way that we think about that, the story that we're telling ourselves about that. And the good news is that with me, it's always going to be an infinite game. There is no arrival.
No, and that's why I love athletics, especially at the high school level. Like once you
Yes.
make varsity, the work just begins. Once I get this college scholarship, the work just begins.
Yeah.
So it is that infinite game, and in all these lessons, all these seeds that we plant to bring it back to our fruits there,
Yeah.
they truly grow and are expressed in adulthood, both
Yes.
for better or for worse, right? Coaching scars or influence or shames that you then were told, the story that you were told about yourself as an athlete. I know countless of people that have held on to that tale
Hmm.
into their professional realm. And unfortunately, those shame, those self-limiting beliefs, they have to work very hard to break through those. Ugh.
So,
So I love
absolutely.
this picture that you're painting with these keywords here.
Yeah. And I mean, the fruit that you bear, it does reflect the DNA, that you started with for sure. And we also know, just to run your metaphor out, that all kinds of fertilizers, all kinds of composting, all kinds of treatment, context, conditions. I mean, they even say if you talk to your plants that they'll grow better, right? Like that's old science even. And so we know there are lots of stages along the way where you can influence more and better fruit. And I mean, even to the point where if things have really begun badly, you can graft on an entire new, side of life so that, what was there is still, useful to what you're becoming. And I think there are a lot of hopeful trajectories when we're talking about a formational life or self authorship or taking radical responsibility over the way that you make sense of the experiences you have or the people that you're around or the environments you end up in. You start to realize that you get to choose and design those places, for healthier fruit, for different types of input and influence, so that you are growing differently, you are bearing different fruit, and that isn't luck. And so that your training, comes way before luck or being in the right place or natural talent or something like that, because we all know people with extreme natural talent or extreme privilege or position, and their training, their consistency, their disciplined life does not match the natural talent or the natural privilege, and it doesn't come to fruition. In fact, it's wasted, which maybe is the most offensive thing to someone who is so disciplined, right? Or so well dialed into their own responsibility taking and their own self authorship. Nobody drives those people crazier than somebody with all the privilege and all the natural talent who doesn't develop it, who doesn't work at it, and is inconsistent. I mean, that's right. I mean, you tell me that
We
you're better
yeah,
suited to say.
we call that the curse of the gifted. They don't
Oh,
know
okay.
they don't know how good they are athletically. Sport or task or art or music just comes
Yeah.
too easy to them.
Okay.
So
Yes.
then it is, that's boring. That's too
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
So then, unfortunately, this is it's called a coaching paradox. This is a Logan Gelbart-ism, where you start to want it more than your
Yeah.
kids, and you
Mm,
create this toxic relationship, which I want to get into, this sense of
okay.
resentment for your own athletes because they have all the talent in the world. You want it more than them, and there's a friction that is born, unfortunately.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah,
I
that's a deep breath. Okay.
know.
Lead me slow there.
So, reason I
Yeah.
brought you on, an expert in the field, I want to talk about culture killers. I've been
Okay.
coaching for 16 years. I've been a part of a team, all different teams, all different levels, all different sports. And some we had success, some we had potential, and some was just an all out, it just blew up. So I've reflected a lot on my coaching career getting into this,
Mhm.
because how many lessons did I just forget about and not know they were a lesson until some reflection? But
Yeah.
there was themes, there was connections, there was individuals that then just their attitudes spread throughout, and we
Mhm.
ignored it until it was all too late. And then before we knew it, a whole team is washed away when the going got tough. So I've been making this list: envy, resentment, just a lot of our natural human tendencies and thoughts. And then this past season, the biggest one that I experienced that I guess existed, but I didn't have like a grasp on the power of it, but entitlement. So where
Mm.
just I was a new coach coming into a program, and in place was like, hey, you're the best player. Like you don't have to go to practice. Like just show up for the games. I wasn't having any of that.
Yeah.
That's not how I operate. So then would put pieces and tools in place to try to change and shift this culture. But there was a lot of pushback and fight. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, the best players are going to play. And it's like, man, well, we've gone too far. So
Yeah.
really started to shape uh, how do I attack this? What is a formational life, a
Mhm.
perfect team, and how do we have this gap there? And how can I start to build this over time or recognize these signs early? Because there were signs, but again, new to the program, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. But
Yeah.
then I should have said something then, and I didn't, unfortunately. Um, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Now I know if I start to see this attitude, behaviors, beliefs, what the kids are saying about their teammates, I know where it goes now. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's why I reach out to experts is to help me understand. So I don't just bang my head against the wall going crazy. How do I reach these kids?
Yeah, right? Well, and it's interesting. I mean, I shared with you my daughter plays on a high school golf team, and when I drop her off to practice like I do, I'll say something like, "Have a good time," or something, and, um, and I've caught myself now saying, um, you know, "Have a great attitude." Like, it doesn't matter what happens, scoring, putting, driving, whatever it is, even contact with the ball, enjoy your time, enjoy your teammates, have a great attitude. Um, and she cannot argue with me about that. Like, oh, I can't hit that goal, or well, I won't score that low, or whatever. No, 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 no. There isn't any response to be the most enjoyable, player on that team. And see how that feels. See what it feels like to make that your goal. Yes, you're going to play the sport. Yes, you're going to follow directions. Yes, you're going to participate. You're going to look sharp. You're going to represent your school, whatever. But also, enjoy your time by being a great human. Show up ready to do that. And it is. I think it's totally lost. It's totally lost. I think people need to be told that before they get on an airplane. I just got off 4 airplanes, and I think everyone on that airplane needed to be told, "Hey, go be a great human. Enjoy your time on that, amazing piece of technology, and try make your best effort to enjoy the folks around you and not make it a bad day for them." Just let's just give that a try. You may get a 6 out of 10 on that thing, but like, hey, that's foundational. It's lost. I will tell you, corporate teams need to be told, fix your face. We're sitting in a evaluation meeting, and it's a private equity group. Let's just pick something super sophisticated and like out of our stratosphere. Okay, very high stakes decisions. If you come in and you have a snarky look on your face when someone else is presenting their analysis, like, we are done. We are already toast. So what like why is it that the foundational fundamentals of, I mean, my dad or my grandpa always say attitude makes the day. Where did we lose that? Because truly the entitlement or the antagonistic, stances, those stem from not having a great attitude, like not having a positive just countenance about where you are. I'm sure that could include gratitude, even if you wanted to stretch a little, of wow, this is amazing. I mean, I'm not working in a coal mine. I'm sitting on a lacrosse field and I'm listening to some instruction about how to run a drill that's going to improve my conditioning and maybe make it possible for us to win a game. So, pretty cool. Okay, that's thought number one. Number two, interesting. I mean, I have some influence, I'm not invisible. I can make this go one of several ways. So I think I'll keep it moving in the right direction. Um, so those sound really, really fundamental, but they are foundational. for any group of people trying to accomplish any task. And young people are no different. I mean, being reminded of how to sort of take perspective on where you are, to choose gratitude about it, and to contribute meaningfully is a direct path to enjoyment, not just of the thing that you're participating in right now, the context you find yourself in right now, but is also a pattern of thinking, a skill, a behavior, a pattern of like self-authorship that transfers on and on and on and on till, I don't know, your children put you in a nursing home and you've got to get up every day and figure out, how would I like to handle today? Am I going to just have a bitter face on my rounds in the morning, or, what? This is my choice. And there's a bunch of other people here. Certainly they're going to have some reflection of me through the day. People working around me, it's their job. Who would I like to be to them, and what kind of influence would I like to have, or contribution would I like to have wherever I go in this world, from whatever role I'm in. I don't know. That sounds pretty dang basic, but it is the foundational thing, and it is lost. So I literally taught this to an insurance company 2 weeks ago, and we had an offsite, and I interviewed everybody. And the presentation, the findings that came out of that very complex senior team was, everybody needs to show up better. Everyone is slouching. Everyone is snarky. Everyone is dismissive. And you make bad business decisions as a result. So that's like a future projection of, we show up to this lacrosse meeting, we show up to a practice, and how does everyone show up? It's our choice. It's our choice. And our results, there's way too much data and research to tell us that this is true, like way too much, that your results will increase if your intention about how you contribute is primary. So if you're paying attention to how you contribute, your results will increase because of purely intention, purely focus, purely like just putting your brain cells on the group or your contribution to the group. Wow, that was a long thing, but am I getting at where you're at here?
Yeah, we're synthesizing almost a step by step. Here's how to think.
Yes,
They're still free to think whatever they want, but here's
of course.
how to think. So taking
Well, and
perspective,
train to think.
train to
How
think.
to train your thinking, because it will not arrive. How to think, it won't. How to train your thinking, that you can practice.
Time out. Let's take a minute to talk about the Old Bull training program. If you were like me, you were bored with your training, you were extremely busy, you were beat up from years of athletics or just getting after it in the gym, and you were looking for every excuse not to train. Our solution, the Old Bull program. This is a program that eliminates all excuses, and it's fun. It's the program that I am following along. I'm writing it for myself and giving it to you, and I'm with you every step of the way, coaching your movements on the program, guiding what weights that you choose. This is a choose your own adventure, super fun and enthusiastic program. What it's based off of 6-week cycles, 2 required days each week, 2 dumbbell-based strength days each week in case you have to travel, and then a max heart rate, and then a fun day, a fun run, ruck, or local high school track sprint day. So this is what I'm following. You have freedom to move the days around to best fit your schedule. In case you have to travel, we got Sexy Fridays, getting after it with some fun bodybuilding, as well as an athletic strength day on that other dumbbell day. Mixing up the barbell movements that target achy knees, ankles, hips, lower back, so we're still able to lift heavy, but we're manipulating your body to then repair itself and restructure, so no longer lifting with pain. Through the podcast, we're offering you 1 month 50% off. Check out the link in the show notes for the Old Bull program on Old Bull and use the code PODBULL. That's POD BULL for 1 month 50% off come and join us. Now, back to the show. Ready, and great.
We as coaches are modeling the behavior, so we
Mhm.
have to follow this as well. And that's a big thing for the coaching staff of I'm on. Just
Okay.
rules are no cursing. If a kid curses, 10
Oh,
push-ups. If a coach curses, 10 push-ups. Like,
yeah.
because how we're going to treat referees is going to be how we're training our kids to teach
Yes.
and react to authority figures, or when
100%.
the ball doesn't bounce your way, are you going to throw your hands up and complain, or next play, next opportunity, let's
Yes.
go. um, so in a sense, if we can just fundamentally train them how to think, then we're putting ourselves in a better position to train them how to act versus yelling at them for acting just like we did,
Yes.
right?
100%. Well, and there it is different, telling them how to think or telling them how to act is usually as far as this goes. So, um, a coaching staff or a teaching staff or managers, they'll set sort of a behavioral standard, and they'll say, here's how to act, here's how to talk, here's how to behave, and we expect you to comply. So what you've taught is someone, you've taught someone to look at what's being asked of them and how to achieve that. The real formational angle on this is to train them okay, wait, let me see how I want to say this like very clearly. um, how to train their thinking, how to train their behaving, how to train their talking. So it becomes like an operating system that you use when you're talking. It's not necessarily just a game plan or a blueprint for how to talk. It's how do you think about talking? And so it's very subtle, but I will say young people are not too young developmentally to understand the difference here. So the setting the standard of how to behave, how to talk, how to react or how not to react, that's the beginning. That's like the proxy or the example. So here's kind of what it should look like, right? If your thinking and your talking is trained and disciplined well through things that you value, that are important to you, and that are effective in your context, then your talking will end up looking like this, or your decision making will lead you towards decisions like this. So those are examples. They're not the blueprint or the script. So, but that's subtle. Like it's difficult to communicate that. Um, but I do know. Um, I had a former colleague who had me work with him on his collegiate level lacrosse team, and they worked at this distinction because people were showing up late. I mean, you're going to know the laundry list of things, right? The culture was suffering on this team, and they were moderate to high performing. So, it wasn't like they didn't win some, but they didn't win it all. And so there was room to improve. And he happened to be a developmental student and thought, I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to see if our winning and our statistics and all of that, if that would actually change positively correlated to my ability to train them to think or train them to behave or train them to think about their behavior and their decisions. And the short story is there's a paper about it and I'll share it with you. But yes, that actually teaching them ways of thinking, teaching them self authorship, teaching them to relate to one another as people who are all being trained to make decisions, to make their language clear and real, not throwaway language. There's a lot of throwaway language in working and in sport that clean up your language, clean up your thinking, train it well, and let's see what happens. And without giving away like who that team is, they won a national championship for their school, and it had never been won by that school ever before. So it was quite remarkable, and it just so happened that it was a fabulous thesis for a paper, so but what it demonstrated was this subtle difference. So most everybody knows, let's set a standard. Let's teach them how to talk, how to make decisions, how to react to conflict or disappointment. But not everybody is actually looking to train their thinking so that they know, like, that's self-authored. So it's not compliance to a blueprint, but it's actually teaching someone drafting skills. So
Yeah.
we can talk more about how that happens, but that's sort of the application of a formational way of training others, of bringing a team together, of rooting out some of the things that you were talking about, which is unthinking, right? Like default language, just replicating what you hear or see. It's always low power, always low power.
Yeah. Then I mean I saw it. I just didn't know I didn't have the toolkit then to approach it. And
Yes.
one observation where and the best kids, the coolest kids on the team are always voted the team captain in high school
Oh, okay.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Then coaches can place the appropriate people in authority positions. But what blew my mind was, and I don't know when this happened, but trying
Yeah.
became not cool. So like, I don't care. I would
Um,
I'm playing because for fun, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
mhm.
What are you talking about? Like you get, you can count the senior games you have left in your career. You're not playing college
Yeah.
on your hands. Like you're gonna have these memories, but I feel that they're just afraid of failing and losing. So then throw this nonchalant attitude out there and yeah, but with self authorship, it's asking them how they want to, who they want to be, what character, or connecting to like a superhero that they got a passion for, or just putting them in a position to be the hero of their own story versus like, ah, I'm not going to go ask that girl
Yeah, it
out.
didn't
I'm
come to
not going
me.
to, yeah, I'm not going to go take this risk. Well, dude, good luck in life.
Well, it's interesting because um, success is cool. I think we could argue. Um, Although excellence, which is usually required for success, is less cool. And I'm hearing you say that saying that you had to try, saying that you had to pursue excellence in order to get success is somehow uncool. Um, and that is that there's a polished kind of like perception management um, there that I think is society wide. The I made it big without even trying or whatever um, is yeah, that somehow that's there for sure. Um, and I guess in spite of all of the data around, you know, all of the stats of like how many shots did Michael Jordan have to miss in order to become, a record holder in shots made or something, like we all have access to that information. The incredibly elite athletes who will tell you it's the drills, it's the 100 touches on the ball a day, it's the like nobody becomes Usain Bolt in one day, and it's like, wow, what the heck, like the guy has been running his whole life, like Michael Phelps, like, he didn't do anything but swim. So, it's like all in the face of all of that information that people would still feel like success comes without some sort of commitment to pursuit or excellence or discipline, is a real lie. And I think one of the one of the symptoms that comes later in life, if you don't coach this or you don't parent this, or you don't enforce this, frankly, like that kind of thinking, you don't really push it, is what we see just as such an epidemic of, which is imposter syndrome, which is sort of like, I am where I am, but like I'm not even sure that I controlled how I got here, or if I could repeat getting here again, or if I deserve to be here, or what if I'm not really who people think I am, or who I'm supposed to be. Like all of those kinds of questions, they all come out of a root of not knowing why you're doing what you're doing and not knowing what the results are or aren't accordingly. And so, one really fast way to the center of that is to start watching for, is what I'm doing getting me closer to some ideal or further away or maybe on track? If I just take a moment in reflection to think about that, I could actually repeat anything that goes well. I could stop doing anything that derails me. So, let's say you're a college athlete and you realize that living in the dorms, staying up late, eating crap, every other meal, or what you add on all the other variables. If you start like tracking those things or just being cognizant of those things and then watching your results over time, you may learn what moves you ahead, what drags you back, what makes you feel. I mean, these are things we have to reteach adults because they never learned it. Nobody ever said, "Oh, interesting. Maybe track how you're feeling after those choices." Or, "Wow, you really performed well. What do you think contributed to that?" Um, that is a direct, like, transferable skill that will serve you so well in adulthood. Like, I wonder why I made that sale, but that one didn't go well. Like, let me just take a minute to look at what was the approach? What was the relationship? What did I offer? Like, maybe there's something repeatable in there for me. Um,
But it's
I mean,
Kara, it's
the
easier to
applications,
just yeah, it's easier to just say, yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't make the sale. F that guy. He's wrong.
Yeah, totally.
Or coach doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yes. Yes.
So I feel that's a sense of protection.
Yeah.
I've heard you speak before on the people fearing their own psychology, and this is
Mm,
very common with teenage males of viewing emotions as weakness.
mhm.
How can we articulate? And this is one way I've aimed to do this. Instead of asking student athletes what they think, how do they feel? How'd that feel? So I'm almost prompting them to give me a feeling that's going on there. And if they
Oh,
give
that
me
will be,
if they give me like a technical thing that happened, it's like that's not the question I asked. So then reframe it and just try to help them sit in their feelings, because I mean it it is valuable. I know as you grow an adult to feel what winning and success, to understand what this feeling of winning is, to understand what losing is. So now I can teach delayed gratification. Remember
disappointment.
how that felt after that game. But if we're ignoring that and saying, oh, the refs suck, coach
Mhm.
made the bad call, then we're not sitting and losing and not realizing that I didn't do what I was supposed to do over the summer to help me succeed in the spring.
That "what are you thinking" to "what are you feeling" shift will be probably, just speaking from someone who deals with adults all day long, the best gift you could give a student athlete, a young person, period. Um, because what that shift does is connect them not just to their emotional feeling so that they can get a hold of what's desirable or what's repeatable or what's avoidable. Like, I didn't like the feeling of disappointment. I didn't like the feeling of I didn't give it my all, and so I didn't achieve it. Um, it doesn't just connect them to their emotional state, which you can use in a lot of different ways. It also connects them to their body. And what we have a true epidemic of in adulthood is people very, very disconnected from their physical sensations, which are so intertwined with your emotional sensing, which feeds directly your rational mental faculties. So, if you think you can reason out a problem, a relationship, a disappointment, a failure, an achievement, only from that mental place, you are sorely mistaken, because there are variables operating upon your mental faculties chemically, spiritually, emotionally, that you have just dismissed. And so, if you can connect a young person's thinking and reasoning with their body sensing and their emotional feeling, you will have done just about, I mean, the best thing I could possibly think to gift all of the adults that I interact with. And so these are people who are at a professional level, whether they're an executive, whether they're an elite athlete, whether they're an academic scholar. They all are subject to what their body is telling them, good or bad, distracting or motivating. Mostly it's distracting, spoiler alert. What their emotions are doing, which usually are playing straight off of old tapes. So you've named it here in this conversation: what coaches used to say, what teachers used to say, what parents have said in the past. Those tapes play on in the emotional being, and they all of that serves as the backdrop for trying to be a reasonable decision maker. Um, truly, the quickest way to become a clearer decision maker, a clearer communicator, is to get a hold of your body and what it's telling you, and your emotions and what they're telling you. And so, the part of the formational life is, who are the voices that are narrating my experience? Are they old voices? Are they trustworthy voices? My body retracts and withdraws when someone raises their voice. What's going on there? How do I get better self control about my reactivity to that, so that that doesn't derail my thinking or my compassion? Um, if someone shows indifference, or it's difficult for them to make decisions, and I am immediately reacting by judging them and becoming annoyed by them. Okay, I'm derailed. Like, if my emotions automatically react to some sort of situation like that, and I don't have a hold of it, like, oh, that's interesting, I learned that, I know where I learned that, um, I've lost my faculties. And so, the very clear thinkers, the very clear communicators, who I would argue are the most valuable people on any team, any staff, any organization, in any family, um, those people who are thinking clearly and communicating clearly, I guarantee you they have done some sort of work to discipline and stay awake to and aware of what their body is feeling, what their emotions are experiencing, and where that all came from. And that is so rare that somebody actually can talk about that, that somebody has that in hand, and can use it for, you know, clarity, and to bring, you know, good ideas, and good layers of impact about decisions. I mean, good recruiting. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about something that would be applicable for you guys, like recruiting decisions? You want people who have their sensing and their body and their adrenaline in check. You want their emotions, their memories, their associations, and their judgments in check so that they can make an accurate and rational recruiting decision that fills needs, not of themselves or their egos, but of the actual team. So, what are the needs of the team in order to perform? We want people operating upon those, or considering those, and clear out in as much as is humanly possible our own sort of needs about what's going on in my body, what's going on in my emotions. So you're nailing it. So go, you are crushing it. Like that it's truly a gift. It's truly a gift to young people because adults are having to relearn it. So maybe you should also be teaching adults.
Well, selfless promo here. I do have a course. It's on social emotional leadership and getting why
Okay,
it's titled why they're not listening.
people, why are you not listening? And I'd argue, why are you not able to think? Like, what's your how to unlock your next level of like critical thinking, of productive communication? Here it
So
is.
you're
Listen to this dude.
spoiler alert, you're giving away my ending. All of it leads to responsible decision making and situational awareness on the field. But then, double spoiler alert, all of those tools are what helps you be a responsible human being later in life. So just
Absolutely.
take
Okay. Well, amen. You did it. You've done it.
right,
Um, and
aiming to.
and truly, I imagine this is true for you too, but certainly the data and research like bear it out. And that is that results do increase. Like you can see a measurable increase in positive results, whether it's underwriting decisions, whether it's investment decisions, whether it's choosing a partner in life, or whether it's winning more lacrosse games. The more you have this in hand, the better off your results will become, not just because magic, but because you knew at every increment how to adjust.
Yes, and you're insulated and your confidence, your abilities, you're protected against others that are trying to then put resentment and their envy and their problems on you. So that's a big thing I want to hand
Yeah.
to athletes is
Okay.
so when you do step up to the next level and it's either unruly fans or coaches or bosses that then try to label you, try to put their
Mhm.
stuff, their shamelessness down on you and push it down, you know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. And then you could find a place who's willing to pour water on you and help you grow versus just keep you contained. And there's so many animal stories that are coming out. I don't know if you've seen the goldfish that's in a big tank swimming around, and then they put a
Yeah.
glass sheet of glass in the middle of the fish tank,
Yeah.
and then goldfish runs into it a couple times, and then they remove the glass, and goldfish just stays in that second half. Have you seen that?
Oh, no.
And this the same with fleas. They took a bunch of fleas, put them in a jar, then they put a lid on the jar for 3 days. I'll send
What?
you these. And
Yeah.
then
Okay.
they just unscrewed the cap, and the fleas were limiting themselves to that height.
Okay.
So it's very similar with people, and I've seen too many poor coaches, especially at the high school level. I've had them at high school. I've had them at college. I've worked with them, and it's so frustrating. And a lot of the inspiration to even stand here and start this is to yeah, just to go after them.
So what have been the unlocks so far?
The define unlocks.
So if your observation is that, let's take this, just this population, like high school coaching, um, that they are experiencing limitations like these, the athletes, the coaches, et cetera, like what have been some of the unlocks or some of the experiments you've run so far that seem effective, like they're freeing people up or at least giving them perspective on the limitations?
The So a lot of the tools that I've been leaning into is it's called social emotional learning. So it's
Yes.
based off elementary and
Yep.
child development.
Yep.
Erickson, Piaget are the two child development people that I've
Yes.
really come to admire. And then
Those are also the foundational fathers of adult development, like, just so
oh,
you know. So, we're on the same
awesome.
page.
and
Continue,
then
yes.
and then there's a man named John Bradshaw who is deep
Okay.
into shame. So
Mm,
just the shame that binds you is his book, and he's got many others that then connects adult challenges, problems, addictions, and that are anchored in childhood. So understanding those, but then asking questions to answer your question,
yeah.
asking coaches like, would you follow you? Are you the coach that you want coaching you? So that was a lesson taught to me. Rafael Ruiz is the man's name. I've done a podcast
Yeah,
with him.
totally.
So then, and then I sometimes with younger kids, I match their energy. A common thing with coaches is to come over the top, right? If a kid is angry, well, I'm just going to come over the top and try to bury you, basically, because I don't have
Yes.
the skill set to
Right.
then bring you down. So then matching energies, and then this is from John Bradshaw, where he's got like a scale 1 to 100, or forgive me, this is Tim Fletcher. This is Tim Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
Scale of 1 to 100. So if a kid is in 80 to 90 to 100, then we need to do grounding exercise, which is breathing or exercise. We got to move in our limbic brain. They're caught in their limbic brain. We need to move in our bodies.
Yes.
So push-ups, I will run with them. I won't say, "Hey, go take a laps," right? So I'll do physical fitness with them until we're at a 7, and we're in our midbrain or our prefrontal cortex, and we can talk about this. But if I
Mhm.
try to talk, if they're in a 7, if they're in an 8 to 10, they're not listening. And this is where we see NFL arguments of coach and player just blow up. They're both in tens right there. If they're in a 7 or a 1, usually these are just regressions in age. They're 16 and they're acting 6. Okay, hey, let's shine a light on that behavior. And
Yes.
then if they're acting out, what I've found is that it's usually they're looking for a boundary and barrier because they're not getting it outside of practice.
Yeah.
And then what I've come to, and I was this athlete more acting in, where almost on surface level I'm cool, I'm doing everything that I've been asked to do, I'm leading by example, but internally I'm a perfectionist, I'm grinding, I'm dying, I'm hurting myself, and my whole internal system is collapsing on itself, right? Adult
Okay.
stress challenges. Um,
Yes.
but then I've also seen kids that take their stick and bang it against their helmet. Like that's acting in. They're acting out on themselves.
Yes.
Um, so just observing and then trying to have different tools to then step in. Because there were years where I labeled that kid as a problem, like avoid him,
Sure.
let him
Sure.
cool off. But no, they're acting out at practice. That's where they need me the most. So I've come to change my stance on that, where I got to intervene, I got to step in. If if they're not at a point where words can, movement can. And
Okay.
so a lot of my lectures and presentations now combine movement and this social emotional leadership, I'm calling it. And yeah, like I'm getting fired up about it because I've made all these mistakes, and those kids went into the real world, and I know that they acted that way or hurt themselves this way in the
Mhm.
future. And I could have got it when it was a small dragon, right? To use another children's book with the
Yeah.
dragon, before it became and took over the whole house.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, that's gracious. I mean, it's I want to have grace for who you've been, and what you learned then, and then where it's driven you now, where it's driven your learning, where it's, created the desire to expand, to be able to, the word I would use for what you were describing is to contain. And so most of us are looking for a sturdy container. And that's a really strong psychology concept that's applicable from infant to the end. And most of the time when we act out, we feel uncontained, and we don't feel held by either our current ability to react and to hold ourselves in whatever the context is, or we feel like the structures around us or the people around us are not able to contain what we bring. And that's where the shame comes from, is I'm too much, I'm a burden. And interestingly, that has a part in the entitlement expression, which is, if I don't truly feel deserving and worthy, calm and content, well contained and secure about where I am and who I am, I feel the need to over demonstrate it. And so, what people would think of as hyper security, like unthinking, like they don't even think about whether they're secure or not. They're so entitled to everything, they just think they run the world. Um, it's actually an expression of, I need to overclaim that. I need to overclaim the fact that I deserve to be here, that I deserve to get this, because there is a quiet internal question about whether that's true or not. Um, People who have, very successful people, I'll say, who have looked inwardly and really asked themselves, do I deserve to be here? Do I have what it takes? Am I worthy of success and celebrating? And am I willing to do the work that's required to do that? Am I willing to take the difficult feedback about whether I'm getting closer or further from the goal? Um, those people, they don't show up very entitled. They don't sound overly grandiose. I mean, I'm thinking immediately of, one of my favorite public figures, Scotty Scheffler. Anytime you ever hear him talk, it's, hey, I love the drills. I love the practice. The feeling of winning is about 2 minutes long. And so I'm a little weird because I've worked my entire life to win some of these golf tournaments. And then I'm going to sit here on a microphone and I'm going to tell you that 2 minutes after that, I'm kind of like, well, who am I? Like, what am I doing here? Do I deserve to have this? Like, I don't know. People are treating me really. And then, but he can answer his own questions because he's done the work. He's tried to figure out emotionally, like, what am I getting from this? What am I trying to resolve by driving myself, to these lengths and these requirements? I think I have that in hand. And what's the deeper meaning of that? Like, how do I control my body's response to disappointment or success? How do I not allow those things to flood me? And then how do I think carefully about what's required for that kind of success? Well, I know what's required, and I know what doing more of that gets me. I know what doing less of that gets me. I mean, you see, like, the whole conversation is a different energy than what you were describing about students that are like, well, I'm the best and I have a spot because I'm the best and I don't need to answer any other questions. It's like, I'm just here because I'm here and I've got this. And the question of deserving or worthiness is so hollow because they haven't actually examined it or measured it. They don't have an answer to, why am I here? Um, why am I winning? Or why did I not win? I think that's sort of the emptiest question that a human could possibly have, whether it's in business or in sport or in family. Um, how is this going so well? I don't know. Just let's keep it rolling. I mean, that's so fragile. Um, why did that all break down? Why did I lose it all? Why did everything go wrong? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's incredibly fragile. So, how do we, like, ask the questions that make us sturdier within, and teach young people how to ask the questions that make us sturdier within, which are along these lines. I mean, how do I understand what my body is communicating to me? How do I understand what my feelings and emotions are communicating to me? And how do I use the combination of that awareness to think really good, clear, disciplined thoughts so that I can communicate those clearly to the world in a way that's self controlled, in a way that I have a choice about, that isn't reactive and overstated. And I mean, here we are. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Use your words well to express a disciplined and well understood, well filtered experience of your life, which is literally only your body and your spirit. I mean, it's like what you're feeling, what you're feeling, what you're feeling. And your thinking will become so much more, the quality of your thinking will increase so much if you pay quality attention to what you're feeling, and sensing. And that's, I think I probably overstated, but what you're teaching is extremely profound, because even if you want to be an elite athlete all the way to number one in the world in something, you're still going to have to figure out how to have that in hand so that you can figure out how to keep it up or repeat it, um, and not be controlled or destroyed by it.
And everyone's athletic career ends.
Also,
So who are you after
yeah.
that?
Timeout. Text here at Train Heroic headquarters, meeting with the team to talk about the coaching experience that I'm able to provide for my athletes. So if you're a coach and want to put your program out there on an app that athletes actually enjoy using, Train Heroics for you. I've been using it since 2014, delivering literally over tens of thousands of workouts to athletes, and the Train Heroic allows me to provide the unique coaching experience that I want to. Uploading video, providing coaching feedback, directions, and building a community. That's why I love Train Heroic. And if you want to take your athletes where they can't take themselves, that they want to go, head to trainheroic.com/captains and check out how you can deliver programming to them. And now back to the show. Ready, and rip.
Winding down, what
I know
advice
we're
would you?
pretty wound up, right?
I am. I'm, I'm fired up. I'm charged up. Um, Practice doesn't start till October 14th, so I'm like, I've got to bottle this up.
Okay.
Uh, so
Back to the drawing board. Get out a whiteboard. Get some of this shit up there. Like you
I
gotta.
well, I had my prepared notes,
Oh,
but
good.
then
Okay.
I'm like writing all over
Good.
of
Good.
ideas and connections. So
Yes.
winding down. Sub
Okay.
question:
Okay.
have you seen Happy Gilmore 2 yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, I won't spoil it. If you're a
Okay.
fan
Thank
of the
you.
first one, you're gonna
Yeah.
love the second one. Just don't
Okay.
go in expecting an Emmy here. So that's
Okay.
only advice I gotta say. Um, so I got two more questions. One,
Okay.
so as we mentioned earlier in the show, like once you make varsity, the work begins. Once you make
Uh-huh.
varsity, then there's a level of you become team captain, and then the work begins. And instead of being on the same level as your teammates, now you're just one step up, not disrespecting them. You're just one
Mhm.
step up, and coaches trust you more. So there's a lot of confrontation and conflict that now starts to arise because you were either participating in behaviors or you were aware of behaviors and you didn't say anything, but now we're in a position to say something. So, how would you guide these young
Mhm.
leaders to then now step into and be comfortable and confident with conflict and confrontation for behaviors that are not matching the team's goals?
Mm. One of my favorite teachers used to say, "We are all living inconsistencies." And so the making that normal, would be a great first step. So we're always going to have ideals, and we're always going to be out of integrity to some degree with those ideals, whether it's you individually, you know, I do what I don't want to do, and I don't do what I do want to do. And I experience that, as being out of integrity, right, every day. And it's sort of also one of these infinite games where, there's no way to like lose or win, but you're always playing it. We're just going to continue playing the game of close the gap between who I want to be and who I actually am, and who I allow to speak into that. And so that's a young leader question, is not feeling that being named a leader means now I'm perfect. Now I have no wiggle room. I have no margin for error. And so there's a piece of that when you invite a young leader to a captain role, or something of the like, whether they're the president of a club or whatever it is. I mean, this is not just in sport, but definitely in sport, that this is a learning experience. So it's a privilege and a learning experience to learn how to take more responsibility and to expose your own out of integrityness, a little bit more, a little bit in a modest increase. And I would argue that leadership is actually an exposure of your out of integrityness and being willing to accept responsibility for that, to be okay with that, and to allow that to be in service of whoever you're representing. I also think that word representing or being a representative is a really helpful one for young leaders, also for older leaders, but especially for young leaders, is being given a role like that is not a crown. It's not like an award or an achievement that now you march around, showing to everybody. But it's actually a service that you've agreed to provide, which is representation, for your teammates or your colleagues or your peers, but also for your leadership, for the people who are leading you. So let's take this into the real world. You get asked to be a manager of the group that you used to work in, right? Let's say there's 5 of you all used to work together. Now you're being asked to be the manager of that group, which means now you have a different relationship to your boss than everybody else has. And you have a different relationship to everybody than you did before. And the best way to think about that is, now I work at representing my leaders, work and goals and strategy really well. I'm a translator of that, a representative of that to the team. And then I'm working to represent those teams' obstacles, their issues, their ideas, their innovations, their motivations, over to my leader. And that if you think about leadership as a service, which it truly is. You are a intermediary, you are a representation, a representative in either direction. And so a young person who gets named as a captain, similar dynamic. I was a peer. Now I'm being given a different position, but it's in service to the peers, right? So it's in representation of my peers, of getting us resources that we need, maybe, communicating difficulties, in attitude or motivation, you know, um, representing confusion that might be present or discouragement or something like that, to my coach. And also, part of the representation or responsibility taking is, really trying to understand, what's my coach about? What is my coach getting at? What are the strategies, the goals, the motivations that that they are holding and serving us with, and how do I help my teammates truly understand those so that we can, improve quickly, and adjust easily. And because the clearer the teammates are, right, about strategy, motivation, goals, the easier they can achieve on those. And coaches are not perfect either. Sometimes they need a captain to help them translate what's their strategy, what's their goal, what's their purpose, not to justify it, but to translate it, to represent it, to communicate it. So I think leadership at that captain stage, um, I mean, when I was in high school, I was, named the captain of a team, and it was like, oh, I get to wear the button now, and I'm the captain, and it's like, that's not cool. I mean, it's just not interesting. It's not interesting. Like if you want an award or something, like you got that, you got it, but it's not an activity. So if someone thinks about you got named the captain of a team, what's the activity that a captain is busy doing? You've got a few things here.
Me, so effectively, I mean, leading, allowing the coach to coach. So
Yes.
then operating the team and leading but you need to teach the captain how to lead certain drills, arrangements, warm ups. So it's teaching them how to operate a team so that the coach can focus on what they need to focus on. Otherwise, then coach is too busy with all these little things going on that he doesn't get
Okay.
the opportunity to deliver commander's intent or communicate to the referees, and a lot falls through the cracks. So
Okay. Well, yeah. And so if the captain truly is a representation of the coach, that's going to require a lot of um, learning and digestion of what is the coach's strategy. I mean, the best thing you could do if you were named a captain and you were like, oh, what am I supposed to do? What is this job even? I mean, am I responsible for everybody and every way they all screw up? Like, I don't want that. And now I'm just supposed to like run drills. What? Why? Um, I would encourage them to go to a coach and say, hey, here's how I understand what being a captain means. I understand it means I'm the representation of you when you're doing things that only a coach can do. You can do all the things that a captain can do, but you're doing things that only a coach can do. So let me understand. If I run drills, like, how do I approach that? If I motivate this team, how do I do it not at cross purposes with the way that you would like to motivate this team? So that representation, that learning of the philosophy, basically, of the coach, that can also go the other way. So I'm assuming that I'm named a captain and I want to get after it. What do I need to go get from the coach in order to serve this way? But the same can be true in how you communicate to someone, a student or student athlete who is being named a captain. Hey, here's how I view you. You are my representation when I'm doing things that only a coach can do. So when I'm communicating with an official, you can't do that, right? Like you're not going to do that. And any captain that attempts to do that, we know that's out of bounds. So you let me do the things that only a coach can do. And I want to trust you with things that I could be doing, but that I'd like you to stretch into. And yes, I expect you would do them according, to the strategy that we've agreed upon as a coaching staff, or, what's worked in the past, and I expect that to be revisable,
yeah,
right?
well, speaking of the
Yes.
one thing I've done in the past, I didn't do
Yes.
this past season, but I'm bringing back it's a job resume or a job description.
Oh, dude.
Here's our
That's
expectations.
golden.
Like, and you signed this agreement.
Yes. Beautiful. I mean, one of the things we didn't, talk about, but that I think is not a culture killer, but actually a culture container, a really good culture container, is agreements. They are so undervalued um, when we decide what works. What do we expect from one another? And how do we look each other in the eye or look at a piece of paper and put our names on it and say, hey, here's what we agree to. And one of the things that I think gets left off of something like that is, and when we come to odds, how will we proceed?
Wow. Yeah.
Um, that kind of contracting, that kind of agreement, I mean, it's a complete game changer, because where do things derail? Where does your body totally betray you with adrenaline and fight or flight? Where do your emotions totally betray you and tell you that person's bullying you, that person doesn't respect you, that person, whatever? It's like, oh, now I'm full of shame, or I'm full of rage. Now I need to protect myself. I mean, it's like all of that all comes to bear when we just disagree, maybe on very reasonable concepts, just different approaches, different opinions. It shouldn't bring our entire everything and messiness to bear, but it does. And so how do you, right on hand, I mean, right off the bat, get that in hand? Right off the bat, how do you get that in hand? Well, it's to basically say, we are going to come to some disagreements. Inevitably, we've got great ideas. We're different people, and we're creative. So we're going to create new ideas in response to problems we can't even forecast. Um, Somebody gets injured. Somebody we thought was being recruited doesn't come. There's all kinds of problems we couldn't forecast, but here's what we can forecast: how we are going to operate when those things arrive. And a lot of that is, I will be responsible, for my derailment tendencies, and you will be responsible for your tendencies, and we'll get them some oxygen so that they don't totally jump out and sabotage us at the moment we actually need a really creative solution, because we're at loggerheads. I mean, it's like that's the moment you actually need to shut it all, like get it all in hand and get some self-control. That's actually the time you really, really need it. On an everyday, Thursday, whatever, you don't need it. But the disciplining of it over time and the agreements made about what we're going to do later, those will come to save you. They will save you. I'm telling you, the teams that agree to do this, the duos, the leaders that choose to do this, I mean, it comes in. I mean, if I'm going to ever get an email that says, oh my gosh, we should have never made it through this, it's about this issue, because you advised us to talk about what to do when we come to a disagreement and it's loggerheads and we can't see a way through. Because you told us to talk about that before it ever happens, we survived it. And it's like, I don't get many emails, like, oh my gosh. But if I do, 10 out of 10, it's that. I dare you.
Boom. I'm writing it in there. I love it. One final question.
Okay.
As a mother of teenagers, how can you help them raise the meaning of their goals? If
Mm.
if they're short shooting themselves, right? Nana McQuilkin, my dad's mom, she used to say, if you reach for the stars, you'll land on the roof. If you reach for the roof, you'll remain on the sidewalk. So,
Oh.
like, they're limiting themselves, or they say like win a state championship, or just some goal that is just, hey, unrealistic. That's not happening.
Yes. Mhm.
So how do we put them in a position to raise the meaning of their goals? Last question.
It's juicy. It's juicy because goal setting is, I think it's a really small game as people play it. As it's played, goal setting is a very small game. Um, I think that is because people don't take the step of imagining what the achievement of that goal will make possible. And not just make possible, but make possible for you to feel, make possible for you to believe about yourself, make possible for others to understand about you. Um, and so if you were to say, um, my goal is to graduate from medical school. I'd be like, wow, it's a long road, right? Like, it's a really long road. And while that's cool, graduating from medical school sounds really cool for anybody. That it won't get you. That cool factor will not get you through the AP exams that you have to take in high school, and then the board exams you have to take after college, and then the residency that takes 5 years in some city you don't want to be in, et cetera, right? Um, but um, answer me the question, what would graduating from medical school make true about you? What would people understand about you if you achieved that goal?
You can
Um,
suffer. Yeah.
right? Like, truly, there are a million versions of it. Like, you're a stick to it, you can stick to something, you're willing to have grit and resilience when things are difficult and tedious. You can you have compassion, you want to join a helping profession, you want to have social status, you want to have respect for being someone who's signed ethical standards, you want to make a lot of money, there's a ton of answers, but all of them, I would argue, have more potential for motivation to actually achieve that goal than just the achievement of the goal,
Hmm.
because usually there is some imagination about what will come true if you achieve that goal. Like, if I win a state championship, I may get to go to the school of my dreams. Okay, well, then if you get to go to the school of your dreams, then what's true then? Well, then I might get into a network of people who really care about this stuff and I could become influential there. Okay, then it's like, write it out, like play it out. Like, why that goal? What will My favorite one is, what will become true about you if you achieve this goal? And it's like, most of the time, if you get down, 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 down through all the versions of these questions, it's something like, I will feel so much dignity. I will feel so respectful of myself and my efforts, because that's a that's a really big deal. My perception is that that's worthy, that it deserves respect, and um or it makes possible something that I really care about, or I really want to show myself that I can achieve. And so the other way is, that's the inspirational way. Okay, the other one is, break up the goals. What does it take to get there? What are you willing to do to get there? That's like one of the more technical ones, and that goes all the way down to habits, your daily habits. Because I'm such a James Clear fan, Atomic Habits. It's okay. Well, what does a national championship lacrosse player do on a Thursday afternoon after school? What does a national championship lacrosse player do on a random Tuesday in the middle of the summer when their friends are at Happy Gilmore too? Like, take on the identity of the person who has already achieved the goal and work backwards. So that's a very stoic take on it. But a lot of young people actually are so literal still that they can't get with the big metaphors and all that kind of stuff. But they can get with, oh, intriguing. Okay, so it's this, then you unpack it back. And then a person like that then they're like, oh, well, LeBron James would spend a Wednesday in the middle of his Easter break or whatever the heck extra holiday it is, not at Taco Bell. He just wouldn't do it. So maybe that helps me make a decision. Um, yeah, I'm a big, like, fan of habits. And what would somebody who's already done that, how would they spend their day?
I love it. Very practical. And
That one's the practical one. The other one is kind of like, oh, that's a big question. But if you really care about the young person and you actually think they're very earnest, if this isn't a like, oh yeah, well, I want to beat Tiger Woods' record one day. It's like, oh, okay. Try again. But if someone says like, I want to get a scholarship, I want to get school paid for, I don't want to go in ROTC, I want to play a sport, I think athletics are important, I know I can study, I know I can hang. That's my dream. It feels audacious. It's massive. It's 1% of the population, whatever. But like, that's an earnest question. You can go for that and you can say, what would that mean about you? You know, that you had earned that, that you had designed that, that you had worked and achieved that. And you had the independence um, and self discipline to achieve something like that, that's really worth having dignity about. Um, I think a lot of things in life are people asking this question. What's my deep worth? What can I have dignity about? What do I not need to cover for? What do I not need to worry about? How much can I expose? You know, and what is the risk? You know, how do the risks I take reinforce like the person I want to be every day? And that's why I've just got mad respect, mad admiration for you to say, look, I'm going to take some risk. I'm going to create some exposure for myself. And I'm going to try to hold as much integrity as I possibly can and serve the people that I find meaningful. And I got to go do it again every day. So mad respect to you.
Well, thank you. And I'm working on accepting compliments here. So thank you.
Are you?
I'm
Ooh, okay.
trying.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Well,
Tex,
one is
I
good.
feel really proud of you and I admire you. Your turn.
Thank you. I'm blushing. Well, thank you for your time and your hard work. I know uh, you're busy with other projects that I hope to see come to fruition at the end of this year, so we can meet again for another podcast
Let's do
in
that.
person. Yeah, in all seriousness, Doc, I think of you a lot, especially conversations we had in the past when
Wow.
faced with problems, especially communicating and teaching leadership.
Mhm.
So one of
Wow.
the best in the game. So I thank you for taking the time to join me.
I'm so glad.
Awesome. Developmental coach.
Oh, yeah, at developmental coach on Instagram.
Easy follow. All right. Doc, thank you very
Thank
much.
you for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for your story and the way that you make it available to other people. It's hugely, hugely valuable. Other people want to hear leaders tell their story. And so you've done it.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
bye. Scene.